Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are going to explore how organizations can bridge the gap between AI innovation and responsible oversight. In 2026, simply having an AI policy on paper isn't enough. Businesses need technical systems to detect shadow AI and ensure that remain compliant with rapidly evolving global regulations. Joining us today is Ulas Ozguven, co-founder of VerifyWise. Ulash is a leader in the AI governance space, helping companies move away from scattered spreadsheets towards centralized open source systems. VerifyWise provides the tools for risk assessment and modern evaluation that helps businesses deploy AI safely and sustainably. So, before further ado, let's welcome this special guest. Ulash, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Hello, Kripa. Good to be here.
Now, Ulash, I'm so excited for the conversation. Many companies think AI governance is just about, writing a policy document, but you argue that it needs to be much more practical. So let's start the conversation by understanding what does effective AI governance look like and where exactly should a company begin from? Go ahead.
Yeah, great question. It's a great place to start. So, AI is different from things like cybersecurity or even, your HR policy, where you decide what the HR policy is, and it kind of stays put in your virtual copy somewhere, and then you bring it out when you get an auditor. But with AI, it impacts every part of your organization and it evolves very, very rapidly. So just having a policy is not enough. You need something that is operationally active and responding to both external risks and also internal use cases.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think it's a vital shift to see, governance as a living technical system rather than just a static file in a drawer. Now, building on that, let's examine the rise of shadow AI and why many teams are running far more use cases than leadership realizes. So, to begin with, from a layman's perspective, our audience has also heard this shadow AI as a new buzzword that is going around since the last couple of weeks now. So from a layman's perspective, from you, what does shadow AI mean, and why is shadow AI a growing risk? Go ahead and explain that, why it matters in 2026.
So shadow AI is usage of AI that's not officially sanctioned or talked about in the business prior to it being used. And it's definitely a thing, and it's a growing thing. The reason being is that the ease of use of AI is become so that you don't need to have technical people assisting you in utilizing AI. So what happens is that whilst your IT team might have built a handful of AI systems, the reality is that your end users, from your cleaners to your lawyers to your engineers and everyone in between, will start to use AI to be more effective in their jobs. But when they do, they don't get coaching on how to use it safely. They just know that they need to use it. And that's where the concept of shadow AI comes. It's the usage of AI without it being officially sanctioned or given guidance on how to use it.
Very interesting. So why do you think it's a growing risk in today's time?
Because everyone understands their needs from the context of their job. So if you're in HR, you understand your needs from the lens of a HR professional or finance professional and so forth. But no one is given, naturally so, enough context and understanding of how AI can misbehave. A lot of people utilize AI, treat AI as like conventional software. And with software, it behaves the same every single time. If you ask the same question of a software system, if you press the button, every time it's going to flash green light. Well, AI is not like that. Just like your earlier analogy, AI is like an organic living being. The question that you ask AI, even if the data set is exactly the same, the response may be different on a given day. And the controls that are needed are usually not present unless you consciously provide them to your users. And most users just will not be aware of the unstable or at least unpredictable nature of AI.
Wow, I think that gives quite a perspective. Gaining visibility into hidden AI users, I think it's the only way to prevent security gaps and data privacy leaks even before they happen. Great to know, Alash. Now, let's explore how visibility supports compliance with global AI laws without slowing innovation. So, with so many things happening around, with so much noise out there, how can businesses prepare for AI regulations without slowing innovation or without it being a bottleneck or a barrier in their day-to-day operations?
So the first thing is to know what you have. And what's going to impact you. And I think a key thing is not just waiting for regulation, because there are a couple of really important factors with regulation. One is regulation is not designed to protect the business.
Hmm.
Regulation is designed to protect the consumer. So even if you're in line with regulation, doesn't mean that there's a chance for it to blow up
Yeah.
without breaking the law. It would just damage your business. The other
Mhm.
thing, doing regulation means doing something so badly that it's illegal. This is not something that we should be aspiring for. Um, the third thing is when you're managing risk, it's useful to know what you have internally and what are the risks externally. So, and when people think you shouldn't wait for AI regulation specifically, because regulation already exists. So, for example, you're not allowed to be biased in the offers you make depending on someone's sex or sexuality. That's regulation. It doesn't say AI in it. But
Yeah.
if you're using a tool as to make decisions and AI starts to be sexist, racist, biased, discriminatory
Mm.
in any kind of way, you don't need AI law to be in trouble with the law.
Mm.
That's the issue.
Makes sense. Thank you for educating me and our listeners about this, Alash. And building on that, here's a special message for all of our listeners, specifically to all the founders watching. In 2026, I didn't know we were using that AI is no longer a legal defense. Your employees are already using these tools to stay productive, but without an inventory, you are flying blind into a regulatory storm. Don't wait for an audit to find out your data is at risk. Get a grip on your AI footprint today so you can innovate with confidence tomorrow. Coming back to you, Lash. Next, let's look at how proactive governance, prepares companies for the next wave of AI audits. So, in the future, in the coming times, what will AI audits require? And what do you suggest companies should do right now to track and to stay ready before time?
Yeah, wonderful question. So, what's coming up is, are you using AI safely? Is the overall theme that auditors will be looking at. And
Hmm.
when talking about AI safely, the key thing is, is the way that you're using AI impactful for consumers, and is it impactful for your own employees?
Hmm.
And then how are you monitoring the performance of AI? So let's kind of go back to AI being almost like an organic thing. Just putting it in place and testing it once is not enough, because it is subject to change by
Yeah.
itself. So therefore, the auditors are going to look at what is your process around providing
Hmm.
guardrails for safe usage of AI. This is the key thing that they'll be looking at. And if you don't start to have an immutable, irreversible record of what has happened, what you may end up having is someone will accuse you, or something will happen that say you have used an AI tool and it was unfair. It has resulted in damage for myself or for my customer, and I'm going to sue you, or I'm going to report you to regulators. And you need to have evidence today before regulation comes on that you took the necessary steps to record what you have done.
I think very well articulated, firstly. Moving towards audit ready evidence tracking turns, a complex legal hurdle into a standard, manageable, just something that you just need to tick off the book. That's great. Now, Lash, let's do a little time travel. Say I were to give you a time machine right now and we were to go 5 or 10 years into the future. When you get out of that time machine, how exactly do you envision AI taking over the industry? And second, where do you envision VerifyWise in this entire scenario?
It would be difficult to imagine a company today that is not using software.
Mm-hmm.
Even a companies with just a single individual,
Mm-hmm.
they use software too to manage their accounts, manage their revenue, manage their customer relationships.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time, there will not be any company that is not using AI in some way. Where VerifyWise says we will be the primary tool,
Mm-hmm.
protects the companies and gives companies visibility of their AI risk and manage safe use of AI for that company.
Mm-hmm.
We are already the most visible provider in this business. I don't see any change in that.
Well, definitely, you've painted quite a picture there. The future looks promising, but is very difficult to predict right now, specifically with so many new things happening every single day. I'm loving this conversation, Ulash, and definitely I'd love for you to be back, hopefully for an in-person episode that we do the next. But for now, before we let you go, if I were to ask you your mantra of success in life, one thing that keeps you going through all the difficulties, through all the hardships. We all have those days when we don't want to get out of bed, right? But we still do. So, what's that one thing that keeps you going no matter what? Go ahead.
Small steps, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I dread the long journey that's ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of that big mountain or the long journey, treacherous and hard, it becomes difficult to take those steps. So the first thing that I think about, well, maybe I should put on some socks. That small step then makes me closer to putting on my shoes, open the door, and venture out.
That's very reassuring. I'm loving this episode and the conversation, and I can't wait for you to be back. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ulash, and sharing your insights with our audience.
Thank you, Kripa. It was a pleasure.
All right, that was Ulas Ozguven from VerifyWise, a masterclass in how to move from AI chaos to governed, compliant, and innovative digital ecosystem. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning into the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a special thank you to our podcast partners, UPS and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.